Hello and welcome to Uncensored Conservatism. This is episode number 322. So, this is day number 188 of Trump 2.0, which brings us to the 12.9% mark of the Trump administration. To put it in more graphic terms, we basically have about 4 years left of leftist meltdowns, cry fest, protests, and God knows what else they have up their sleeves. Yes, I forgot. A bunch of whining and teeth gnashing over anything Trump. Just say the man's name in conversation, and you're sure to get a visceral reaction from somebody. So, one of the biggest stories this week was the announcement that CBS is canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The Late Show, you may remember, was started by David Letterman, who gave us stupid pet tricks. Colbert gave us dancing hypodermic needles, urging us all to get the COVID jab. Yeah, that is cringeworthy, but it certainly wasn't funny. So come May or March or something like that, Colbert will sign off the air along with the whole show. Now, some are blaming Trump for this because Colbert criticized a settlement between CBS and Trump in part of one of his unfunny monologues. The good news is that Colbert will be joining Kamala Harris at a local McDonald's soon, or maybe he could go pick cannabis for Newsom out there in California. Now, the fact is that Colbert was just not funny. Ranting about Trump is not a joke. It's an opinion. And he showed in his ratings, and ratings are advertisement dollars. It's simply a business decision, folks. And this must throw some fear into other unfunny late-night so-called comedians like the extremely unfunny Jimmy Kimmel, who has his own show after co-hosting The Man Show, which showcased scantily clad women bouncing on trampolines. It wasn't funny, but it was pleasant to look at, unlike Jimmy Kimmel. The other big news, it looks like Tulsi Gabbard stirred up a hornet's nest in D.C. by dumping previously classified documents that seem to implicate Barack Obama in the Russia-Trump collusion nonsense. So according to these documents, the initial assessment by the untrustworthy gaggle of intelligence officials found no wrongdoing, but Barry Obama had them redo the assessment and then use that against Trump in 2016. And this seems about right. In fact, according to the real intelligence, Russia was preparing for a Hillary Clinton victory and had some dirt on her mental and physical state that they can then use against her had she won. Now, lest we believe that Obama will jump in a white Bronco and be chased down the highway from one of his 3 mansions, this is not going to happen, okay? He's not going to be prosecuted for anything, and he can thank Donald Trump and the Supreme Court for that. Although it would be funny if he becomes like an unindicted co-conspirator. Imagine having that on your resume or record. It kind of tarnishes that halo hanging over his head. And I bet Obama is really pissed at Biden or Jill or the auto pen for not being included in those last-minute pardons, or for Biden for not destroying certain classified documents. Well, it was also the 1-year anniversary of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump at that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. I have liberal friends who still insist the whole thing was staged. And ain't this the truth? We still have no word on why that kid took pop shots at Trump that day. We know more about that CEO and human resource chick at some artificial intelligence company than we do about David Crooks. I mean, that incident, which is probably the best advertisement for Coldplay ever, is still creating some great memes on the internet. Maybe Nickelback should invest in a kiss cam or something. So this was funny. Some idiot with the Democrats decided to attack Trump over the price of items, insinuating that inflation is running rampant. The problem is, the x-axis on the chart ends in 2024 when Trump was getting shot at on a stage in Butler, Pennsylvania, and Joe Biden was president. Oopsies. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was recently seen at a Coldplay concert with her blow-up love doll. And here's this rising star in the Democratic Party either railing about something involving immigration or auditioning for a role in the porn industry. A good blowjob is a prerequisite. You can't go into a porn audition and say, I don't do blowjobs. This is a real picture of the former leader of the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi. Those are some golden arches there. She should sue the makeup person for gross negligence. And word is that Kamala will be making a decision pretty soon on her future and whether she'll run for governor of California or sit this one out. So stay tuned. I mean, California is 3/4 of the way to Venezuela status right now. Hunter Biden went on some podcast and decided to go on a profanity-laced screed about the Democratic Party and said that if he was president, he'd invade El Salvador and free all the immigrants because, well, he needed some MS-13 provided crack and some hornet fuck. So things haven't changed with Hunter. He's apparently still hitting that crack pipe. The Democrats may want to Clinton his ass. Trump is still after Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. They recently toured the Fed in Washington that is undergoing renovations and has tremendous cost overruns that Jerome Powell was actually unaware of. And he's the head of the Fed. Well, the crying over defunding the NPR and PBS is continuing there. And, but Big Bird and Elmo are still alive and they're still on television. And NPR is still not being the first to issue tornado warnings in rural America, as the Democrats claim. Then there are those claims that Adam Shit-for-Brains may have engaged in some mortgage fraud. This is a conundrum for that pencil neck. How can you be a senator from California but declare a home in Maryland as your primary residence? You see, okay, so either you're ineligible to represent California or you claim that home in Maryland as your primary residence to get a favorable government-backed mortgage. So which is it, Adam? Well, he does have an excuse thus far. Trump doesn't like me. Meanwhile, in California, Governor Newsom spent a relaxing day at his cannabis plantation where he promised the child laborers they would not be deported by ICE as long as he was the plantation owner. You see, he's just making a principled stand. He's sort of like, those Democratic Southern plantation owners before the Civil War. Who thought Gavin Newsom is just an updated version of Jefferson Davis? Which makes me laugh about these illegal immigrants and the Democrats running to their defense. That's all they have left. You're a white supremacist, or you're a racist, you're a xenophobe. So violent crime is down in Los Angeles, and their goofy mayor said, what else is down? Your illegal immigrant criminal population. Could there be a connection there? Inquiring minds want to know. Meanwhile, in New York City, that Danny guy continues to double down on stupid ideas. Go ahead, bite that big apple and vote for this jerk. As that great philosopher Mick Jagger once sang, but don't mind the maggots. Wait a minute now, we have another one up in Minneapolis. A twerpy Somali Muslim was endorsed by the party up there for mayor over the current mayor, who is also a Democrat. I mean, what the fuck's going on here? They want a Somali pirate to lead that city. Apparently so. The embrace of socialism by the Democrats, it's not even a secret anymore. It's like they just said, fuck it, Trump and the Republicans are on to us. Let's just go with it. And it's usually the pink-haired freaks and the Antifa type who embrace socialism, or the Somali pirate, or the silver spoon-fed Durgalurka Indian from New York City, or, a failed member of the commune from Vermont, or a former bartender from the Bronx. And did you ever notice those that embrace socialism are generally losers who have contributed squat? The dude from Minneapolis was a community organizer. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wiped up bar spills. And Bernie, he just failed off the commune. So all they have left to defend their views when confronted with cold hard facts is attacking the messenger. And they have lots of attacks in that file cabinet. That dude in Minneapolis, how much you want to bet at some point he's going to accuse someone of racism or xenophobia because he's a Somali pirate? And this is what the Democrats have become. Amazing how they change the language, and the lapdogs in the media and the clapping seals in the audience of Stephen Colbert or The View go along with it. You know, toxic masculinity as a straight white male, and climate change is just another taxing opportunity. But then again, who am I to criticize? It must be hard to be a liberal these days, right? Oh, before I forget, the whole Epstein file or client list thing is kind of quiet right now. But we're one newspaper article away from it blowing up again. By the way, we know more about an unverified birthday greeting from Trump to Epstein than we do about, this picture hanging in Epstein's home. So, go figure. The WNBA, which I understand is some women's basketball league populated by a gaggle of black lesbians and is heavily supported by the NBA, wants their fair share. Now, they lost $40 million last year, so it's simple. Take the number of players, which is 156, and divide it into the negative $40 million, and that's what they're worth. So that's negative 40 million divided by 156, and that comes up to a negative worth of $256,410 and some odd cents. That's basic economics. Speaking of which, some good economic news. In June, the country took in more money than they put out. We're going to take a victory wherever we can, and at this rate, the national debt should be manageable in about 175 years. Ah, yes, the march of the left. Well, we're providing arms to Ukraine now, so they can't bitch about that. So they take up the terrorist cause, but wait, we have some illegal immigrants to protect. No, wait a second. Mean old Trump bombed Iran. So the leftists, they're for corrupt governments, terrorists, illegal immigrants, and theocratic maniacs. That's what they now defend. It's really rather sad and pathetic at this point. And this kind of summarizes it, right? I mean, our past three presidents in the words of their wives. By the way, Melania Trump is the hottest first lady since, well, I don't know, maybe Dolly Madison. Ooh, there was a woman for you. So climate change is sort of passe these days now that there are terrorists to defend in the Middle East. Greta Thunberg jumped on that one. But climatologists have discovered the reason for rising sea levels, and it has nothing to do with greenhouse gases. I mean, some people just should not wear bathing suits. And thankfully, Gay Pride Month is now in the distance of the rearview mirror, although I'm sure Governor Timmy Waltz will champion his state as a transgender sanctuary once again sometime soon. I'm sorry. It was reported that Rudolph did transition at the North Pole and is suddenly ranked first among the 24 reindeer and dominated all competitions in the annual reindeer games. Rudolph was previously ranked 24th out of 24 reindeer. And this is actually true. How dare they cast a female in a female road in something based on a fucking video game? Didn't they get the memo? This is 2025. Anyone, whether they have a dick or balls, can play a female lead now. But you know which females don't have dick or balls? Conservative women sporting a firearm. Now, I don't know why she had to wear those shorts to go sport shooting, but I'm not complaining either. That, my friends, is just nice to look at. Not some screaming pink-haired harpy with nose-piercing baying at the moon about President Trump. I guess you could say Trump triggers the left. And that's your Second Amendment news and pun for the week. Thank you for listening. Have a great day and a more pleasant tomorrow.